Freedom Music Festival was a fundraiser for Hope Sussex Community, CIC, a home education project that is trying to offer support and community to parents that have had the foresight to take their children out of the indoctrination system. Um, we achieved an incredible event in July with this Freedom Music Festival. It was one of the happiest events I think I've ever taken part in and attended. The volunteers were amazing. The teamwork was incredible from both volunteers and the performers. And everyone who attended and came to the event wanted to bring a really high vibe and wanted to celebrate after having such a grueling 2 years. Um, we have some wonderful montages of the wonderful memories, and we hope that they bring back that amazing vibe and feeling that you all had when you were there attending the event. Please enjoy.
Feeling good. You know me, I'm all about my business. No apologies. I run a life fitness. Can't believe in this moment. I'm free. Yeah. Look good, smell good, it's a vibe. It's a vibe on my wrist, it's about that die. I gotta go big, cause I got that. Gotta go big, cause I got one life. I'm feeling good. Getting better. Feeling good. I can't let it go. I'm feeling good. Cause I never say never. Cause I find my place where I'm always feeling good. I'm feeling good. Let's get wild. Now nobody's business. All day, all night. Yeah, we running like a limb band. Never ever leaving this moment. Come with me. I'm feeling good. Getting better. Feeling good. I can't let it go. I'm feeling good. Cause I never say never. Cause I find my place where I'm always feeling good. I'm feeling good. Look good, smell good, it's a vibe. Every time on my wrist, it's about that die. Gotta go big cause I got that. Gotta go big cause I got one life. I'm feeling good. Getting better. Feeling good.
Here is the interview with Ant and Adam from Hollowbone and Brian.
I'm sat here, we've got two new guys to interview. I was told to definitely use the word awesome with regard to their music. So welcome, and I believe your music is awesome.
Absolutely.
Come on, who am I talking to? Because my brain is scrambled. I've talked to so many people today. I've been out talking to people. I've done some little audio interviews myself. I've talked to quite a few of the other people playing music. Who are you guys?
So we're Hollowbone, Ant and Adam,
Okay.
if you'd like to see the pun in that.
Or Adam and
Adam in the end. And we're missing Toby.
yeah.
He had to fly off at about 5 this morning back to Cornwall to do another gig.
Flew. That was the sensible decision. 'Cause
No, flew in a car.
Oh right. Oh
Yeah.
God. Right.
That's why I left. It's why I left at 5 because
Yeah.
that's unbelievable. The roads.
It was 9 hours
It's
for him. getting
been
down.
bad. So where have you guys come from then?
I live in Oakhampton.
Yeah.
And
I'm just south of Bude. I can answer
yeah.
these questions. I can answer, even
Right,
though I'm
so
running
for-
on vapor.
So for the international audience, we're talking about the very southwest of UK, and what we're all complaining about is the traffic this weekend has been a nightmare.
yeah,
So
it was crazy.
okay, so how long have you been together in the band?
When did you join, Adam?
I joined sort of 10 months ago, or is it a year?
No, it's not that long, is it?
Not that long. I've been You guys were, well, maybe you want to say.
Yeah, Toby and I, the guitarist who's not here, yeah, we've been together for a while. Like we had a 4 or 5 piece that we were trying to make work. And then of course COVID happened and lockdowns and then lots of searching for other musicians. And
So have you guys come together because of COVID and lockdown?
No.
Or not? You would.
No, Hollowbone was Hollowbone originally was a 3-piece semi-acoustic, but I was craving bass. I wanted a bigger sound, and we were advertising for bass players, like we were for drummers. This is back in the day, and no one. And it wasn't until the band disbanded, and then Toby was there he'd been on my doorstep the whole time.
The
bass player.
Oh, the bass player. Right,
He's actually playing guitar in our setup now, but he started as bass. He gets a big sound, doesn't he? Because he splits between his guitar amp and a bass amp. So he's got a splitter, so it's got a big full sound. But he's super talented. He's a pro musician.
But you guys were jamming together through lockdown, weren't you?
Yeah, so me and Toby just kept on going, and so by the end of lockdown, we were able to do a couple of festivals and a few gigs, and that was lovely.
So what sort of festivals were those then?
There's the Little Orchard Festival down in near Truro.
So this sort of size, or
No, it's much bigger. Yeah,
much bigger,
thousands
right,
of
yeah.
people there, and we were on the BBC presenting stage.
he's mentioned. I'll just say.
Sorry about that.
Do we cut this here or not?
Damn, should have gone through a list of safe words. So that was great, but Toby was having to play an electronic kick drum and play guitar, and we wanted something a bit. Yeah, we just wanted more depth to it. What's the two-piece band who've got the drums in? And got the drums in. I'm trying to think of that. We used to get compared to them quite a bit, and
What do you call the bass? No, I don't use the word bass. What is the sound overall? The style, the genre of your music?
sort of like indie funk rock dance.
Yeah, it's a great fusion because the conduit is rock. I've never been in a rock band, so it was like great fun. But we really love dance stuff. We really love the Jacksons, the old blaxploitation things, Motown.
Wow.
I was chuffed to find that out when I saw his Michael Jackson T-shirt.
Yes. Do you want to give us a flash?
Sorry?
Haven't you got the T-shirt on?
Actually, he's wearing it now. Yeah.
I'll get it up.
Who's
for you.
bad?
Oh, well.
But it's a good. I like it as a conversation piece because most people don't realise he was about to liquidate Sony before he died.
Yeah.
So it's always good to.
He was definitely trying to do something, wasn't he?
He was definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's nice, but also a lot of people seem to think that there's some kind of challenge of trying to find out the truth with his image. So it's an interesting image. It's not his greatest album by a long shot, but it's an interesting image.
Yeah.
Anyway, why are we talking about Michael Jackson?
Because it's good.
influences.
We're getting you all over the place.
Yeah.
Influences,
yeah.
yeah. So the music there's a lot of dance going on in the rock music. I love Jamiroquai as well. So
Same, yeah.
and I've always been a funk drummer, or prog and psychedelic and funk. And during lockdown, for me in Kent, I just said to a bunch of musicians, because my band fell apart. I was in the band for 12 years in Kent. It fell apart because of a divide over COVID. So I just said to a bunch of people, let's just spend lockdown learning and playing funk tunes, and we did. Right. So I really learned how to play the pocket, and I think it helped coming to you guys.
Yeah.
Something I've learned out of talking to the other guys about what they've been doing is that we won't know names, but some of them said there were problems. They've had problems in the band between people. I'm going to use the horrible phrase awake and not awake. So you're playing good music with people, you get on with them, but if you go too far in questioning some of the stuff going on around you, that causes problems in the band. Have you guys all been on one level?
Same page, yeah.
Yeah.
Same page, yeah.
Well, that's how I met them, because I was at a home ed meet up in Cornwall, we'd met these people who had started a homemade meetup at someone's house during lockdown.
Yeah.
So we got introduced to them and started seeing them. My family, I've got 3 children. And I started saying, I thought I'd sacrifice playing drums altogether. I'd come from Kent. I gave everything up. I live in a yurt in Dartmoor now.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, there's this couple of switched on guys that are looking for a drummer, which was him and Toby. So I just sent this email, and turns out I was more wacky than you guys were.
Yeah.
So
a couple of the other people have said the drummers are always the trouble, always a problem in the band.
Right.
I don't know much about bands.
Well,
That's what they said.
I'm the reason why we're here. So maybe.
Really?
Maybe I'm getting the band in trouble. Yeah, because I watch UK Colin when I can.
Yeah, well, that's your big mistake.
But Katy-Jo found the band. As soon as I showed it to her, she was just like, "This is great." So she was a really big fan immediately of just the small content we got online. So we hardly got anything, just a few live tunes.
Right. And have you had a good reaction here?
Great, yeah.
It's been good, but yesterday there was not very many people. Huge problems with the sound. So today it would have been great to play because the vibe is happening. But yesterday it was a lot wetter than that. But people said they really liked it. We had a hard time trying to play with the sound, but
yeah, it was really a real struggle on stage. But apparently the sound out the front was good.
Apparently they liked it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we've had Well, the thing is, every gig we've done, we've had lots of people coming out of their way. You know, people with music backgrounds and stuff saying positive stuff about our performance and our music, which is great. But it's so frustrating because we're finding it so hard to get gigs.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to tally.
So more of this is got to be good, isn't it? At the end of wherever it's happening in the country. Okay, this one's happening up here with Katy-Jo and stuff, but it just seems to me getting people together. They're socialising, they're camping, they're having a good time, and you got the music. This is a great combination. Well, there's also a political message, but it's a good combination.
I think it's tricky though because you're dealing with licensing still for events, and that a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people. What's going to be interesting is seeing how people move around that, like they're moving around mortgages, council tax, DVLA. So a lot of people are going to start to try and see how they can do these with license-free events. I mean, look at what Jam for Freedom do. They just rock up and play in public parks. Yeah, they don't book a license. So he reckons that the future is just for people to go out busking.
Yeah, interesting.
Our conundrum is it's a big venue sound. How do you try and do that? What are we chasing? We're not getting anywhere with promoters and venues, or not very far. There was a guy that's really enjoyed us near Exeter.
But why do you think you're not getting that response?
Well, exactly. It's
you don't know.
It's what's tricky is when you're in a band, you end up just chasing this carrot on the stick a lot of the time. So we all made a pact that we weren't going to do that anymore. Try and move away from using Facebook. Try and just play, and people hear about it and they want to see it.
Wow.
So I got in touch with Karen of the Freedom Network to see if I could organise a tour of all the Freedom Hubs on her network. But most of them are despondent and apathetic and not answering emails at all. So she's doing her Uprise and Shine conference in Glastonbury in September, which we're going to play at, which will just be like a PA and a marquee. But I want to figure out, like, what are we chasing? Where can people put us on in places? Because we want to be an act that helps inspire people to get through this crazy time.
So you're talking to an audience at the moment. We hope it's going to be big where this goes out. Right. So what do you want to tell? What can the audience do? Tell the camera what the audience can do to help you guys get the right venue and the right invitations.
Well, firstly, just see if you like the band.
So where do they go for that?
At the moment, it's just YouTube, but I'm going to upload it to Odyssey.
Right, but let's detail. What are they going to look for on YouTube?
If you type Hollowbone Band, I think you're going to get it. Otherwise, it's just a ridiculous URL.
Right. If you go to the website, which is hollowbone.live, that does have the links to SoundCloud and
Right, so
but YouTube.
Okay, so we can get that up on this video clip, so we get the details of that. Cool. And then you're saying to people, have a listen to us, and then what they're going to do, be trying to create an event like this, or suggesting a venue? Or...
Yeah. So what I want to do is see if so Campbell on one side with Jam for Freedom he's got a network of places to busk, the stand in the park sort of crew and all of that stuff. I wanted to see whether it was possible that people who had venues or the promoters that were really down with that, because the problem is it's really hard to make any kind of money with original music. That's the really tricky thing. So venues, we don't know whether we should stop trying to chase that. How do we go forward? So maybe just people could get in touch with advice. If they know a good place, even if it's just that they want to book the band for a house party. We would certainly rock parties, but the essence of the band is to really just help people through individual growth, but with a really awesome throwback 90s sounding funky rocking thing. So,
awesome.
So
awesome, great.
Yeah. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and that last point feels quite strong for all of us, I think, is we certainly don't want to create more division and separation through our lyrics, the lyrical content. And it is more about creating change, holding the line, but within the self as well. And So yeah, I mean, I really appreciating playing here and playing to an audience that's resonant with what we have to say.
Yeah, it's got a nice atmosphere.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say great, guys. It's really interesting, and we'll get those details out for the audience, and let's see whether we can get some people doing some stuff for you.
Yeah, nice.
Cool. It was good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I say it's also Hollowbone Live on Facebook as well? We do actually have a Facebook page.
Right.
See you on
But-
Facebook.
No, it's all right. No, we're not,
Well, I could plug my own platform.
I know you made a mistake there. We'll cut the BBC because that's not exactly the way to win friends in this environment. But I'm sure the rest of it we can get all the contact details out.
I would have refused if I was in the band. The band got booked to play a Ukraine fundraiser,
All right. Yeah.
Wow.
and I just said no.
Yeah.
So I was already the troublemaker in the band.
Yeah.
So we can't do that.
Well, we researched it a bit, didn't we? And
I
it
said,
got
where's
there.
But
the
it's
money going?
it's the sad thing, and it's a sad thing overall, isn't it? Because Ukraine's in such a mess, and there's so many people suffering in that country, and yet you can't sort of support Ukraine because you're supporting the mess that we've created, and it's
tricky.
there's all sorts of words I like to use, but I probably shouldn't on camera. It's a mess.
We actually come close to playing it because I said, find out if they're sending the money to the DEC or what they're doing with the money. Turns out that they were going to spend the money on tampons and tin food and then drive it to the border.
Right.
A group of them. So I was like, all right, people were pretty stuffed there. Okay.
The next
So we
bit
sort
was-
of did that, and then the poster that came out was just grueling. And I think Toby just immediately got back and said, nope.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I
yeah.
saw it.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was military dress theme
Military dress theme.
and a prize to the best military dress. And
Wow.
So it was
Bizarre.
It was really tricky, but yeah. So BBC stage.
Well, you know what's going to happen now, don't you? You're going to be on the Ukrainian hit list.
Oh yeah.
You've been paying attention to this, so you can get a stamp, because they're putting people on a list who are not supporting Ukraine properly. So you guys could be starring on that, and this could promote your work.
Any press is good press.
Yeah. Yeah, go on.
But
We'll-
bless them, bless the poor people there. Yeah. But it's a nightmare.
Great.
All right.
Thanks for chatting.
Yeah, thank
cheers,
you.
Brian. Nice one. Cool.
Good.
Cheers.
Sorry. And here follows their amazing set.
The show goes on.
Free your life from those brain mind wheels that grind. Don't let your fears make it real. Deny your body won't help you heal.
rhythm. Thank you. I'll suffocate my words where everything seems so defined. I'm breaking to the edge, so winding in this death, I gotta leave the shizzle all behind. Float on by ancient skies. Living in a time of skipping all around, what is black and black is white. Gazing to the frames, escaping all the games, see me smile as I float on by. I float on by into the skies. Sunny time consumes me, stripping every thought. I used to wanna touch the stars, but now I'm plunging straight into source. This only is away. Who is this dreamer walking through this madness? The king and the scale. I gotta get away. Who is this sleeping, falling off so deeply? Oh, gotta breathe, breathe. I gotta get away. I gotta float away. Victim of test, living the Wild West on the fences as a Jew. Projecting out of pain, escaping out of games. It's our judgment that we choose. Choose what I like to paint my skies. Sunny time consumes me, I'm sipping every thought. I used to wanna touch the stars, but now I'm turning straight into sauce. It's only away. Who is this dreamer walking through this madness? The king and the scary. I gotta get away. Who is this sleeping? We're falling in the salty plane. Gotta breathe, breathe. I gotta get away. Gotta float away.
is the interview with Inspector Veg and Brian.
Okay. Well, we've had a little break because we'd done a few interviews, so we popped out on the veranda, bit of fresh air. We did have a small glass of beer, which was very nice, and we've been chatting amongst ourselves about what a great event this has been. Time to restart the interviews. I'm not even going to pretend to say that I know what the name of the next man is. What's your name?
Inspector Veg.
Inspector Veg. Right. And music is, what style is it? Rap?
I say it's grime music.
Okay, tell me, because I know nothing about this.
Grime music.
Give me a bit, give me a bit, because just now you were away, you were giving the script.
I say, if you ask me why I'm not wearing a mask, I'll ignore you because that's not even a question. I don't want to use my arms to put a no mask that's long, man. I'd rather arrest them. The government did some illegal lockdown, so I made the EP exempt. I addressed them. They don't help. They're just scare and test them. The key workers are still selling us poison, and that's what essential is. They don't want to open debate about C-19. None of that, so they censor it. They scared us into a self-imposed house arrest. I didn't see the sense in it, and didn't teach us how to build the immune system, and they didn't even mention it.
Wow. So when did you start doing this?
Just around before the lockdown started, I started writing about COVID-19 because they told us, I see Boris Johnson on the news, and they started telling us we had to stay in our houses and we couldn't come out. Obviously, before that, I was doing Inspector Veg, doing clubs and festivals, frying lettuce and cucumbers and apples and stuff like that off the stages.
Inspector Veg was a different style, was it? Or
Inspector Veg is just the name I was using before. I was using it to promote health at festivals and clubs.
Right, okay.
So I was looking at nutrition and stuff like that, and I was seeing that a lot of the stuff we was eating was processed food and was bad for the body, had a negative impact on our health. So when they did the lockdowns and they told us to come inside the house and we couldn't come out of the house, but the off licenses were still open selling refined sugar. When refined sugar causes hyperactivity and leads to emotional instability, and we start our children on this. They're selling wheat which punches holes in your intestines, selling alcohol which pulls minerals out of the body. So there was a lot of toxic products on the shelf during the lockdown. So when the government were telling us that they were trying to help us, I couldn't believe that because there was so many toxic products in the superstores that were still open. If they would have said, all right, it's lockdown now, get inside your house, we're not allowed to have refined sugar, you're not allowed cigarettes. I mean, cigarettes affect the lungs, didn't they? And they were saying that COVID-19 was affecting the lungs and you could still go and buy Benson and Hedges during the lockdown. So that didn't really make much sense to me, and people were really scared. They were wearing masks. I mean, you breathe in oxygen, you breathe out carbon dioxide. They were telling us to wear a mask so you couldn't breathe out carbon dioxide. It's a waste product, so people are still breathing that in, and people are dehydrated anyway because of all the food that they're eating, processed food. People are not educated about nutrition. People are highly traumatized. They're still eating processed food, and you're telling people to wear masks, breathing carbon dioxide, and just pumping people constantly with fear. So for me, that didn't make any sense, and I didn't think it was the right thing to do because all the big superstores were still open, as does Tesco, Sainsbury's, Morrison's, McDonald's, Burger King, but people were losing their little businesses and were told they had to stay inside their houses. So for me, from what I know, I knew that wasn't right. Spiritually, it didn't feel right for me. So I didn't wear a mask once, and I made this EP called Exempt. Then I made a new one called Still Exempt.
Right. So which came first? All the stuff you know about health, all the music. Were you already into music before?
I was into music since I was 14 because when I was at school, we was going to radios and I was on the estate and people were playing the stuff the lyrics we were saying in the tower blocks and stuff like that from young. But then I started to get into health. I met a friend and I got into health and I started to look at nutrition and plants and herbs and stuff like that. So I started to try and use plants to heal myself a long time. And then I felt better. As soon as I started to eat the plants and drink the herbs and fast and stuff like that, I used to feel better. So I used to go and promote health for a long time. And I used to use music as the medium to promote health.
Wow. And you're getting a reaction from people from doing that. If you get in front of a group of people and you do your music and you're putting this message across, do they react? Do they come and ask you questions?
Yeah, they react. I don't really do it for a reaction. I do it because it's what I know to be true. I see what I grew up on. Like when I started to look into nutrition and I looked at what my parents fed me for the first 20 years of my life, I was actually horrified. And I looked at Mars bars and Wotsits and crisps and not even just about animal products, about chicken dippers, and I was being fed animal products here, animals that have been treated really bad. You get what I'm saying? I'm not here to say the whole world's got to be vegan. That's not my message. But they wasn't just feeding me like animals that have been treated well and had a decent life. They were feeding me, my parents were feeding me animals that are living in horrible conditions and feeding me sugar and giving me over to an education system. I found
and the
out
antibiotics in the
yeah,
animals
giving
as
me
well.
and taking antibiotics and giving me over to an education system. When I found out that the education system was designed to produce human beings whose behavior can be predicted and controlled, it was designed to regulate the poor. So I had ADHD and I was being kicked out. My dad was shouting at me because he's obviously highly traumatized because my dad comes from Ghanaian background. So he's from Ghana. So he had a lot of racial abuse. So I was trying to fight off my dad's anger and at the same time whilst being pushed into school, whilst being given processed food and stuff like that. And I was lost and I was like selling drugs and robbing people and doing stuff like that. So when I met a man and his mind was so elevated, he was talking about religion and media and things like that. And it inspired me to start looking into the truth, what he was saying. And when I started to look into the education system and I started looking into the food and I started walking into off licenses and shops and seeing all these things on the shelves with e-numbers and cigarettes and all these things. I was like, this is insane. Do you get what I'm saying? That we're actually doing this. Like the world is insane and look at what we're eating. So it reflected that your food affects your mind and your emotions because the pipe that runs from your mouth to your backside sends signals to every system and tissue of your body. As the Tesco, Sainsbury's, Morrison, McDonald's and Burger Kings are destroying this pipe with all the stuff that they're feeding us. So we're talking about the problems on the outside of the world, but what's going on inside the GI tract, inside our bodies, the stuff that we're consuming. There's a correlation between the two. Do you get what I'm saying? So I started to realize that, think about it, the earth is built in abundance. It just keeps giving, yeah? Mother Earth is built in abundance. Money creates the illusion of artificial scarcity, the illusion that there's not enough. So we're running around thinking of ways of hoarding digits on a screen whilst eating garbage and drinking garbage. That's why the world is the way it is. Because we're supposed to be connected to nature. We're supposed to be living in nature. Do you get what I'm saying? Fruits are good for your brain, nerves, they clean tissues. Everywhere. Think of the UK. There should be
And water's a key one of this, isn't it? Because I was talking early on with a couple of people and I said about 5 years ago, I had 2 Cocker Spaniel dogs.
Yeah.
And one day they're scratching at the door to go out and I don't know why.
Yeah.
When they went outside, they went over and they were drinking water out of the plant sources.
Yeah.
But when I looked, there was water in their bowl. From that day, they wouldn't drink tap water. My 2 dogs wouldn't drink tap water.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, if the dogs are not drinking the water, I'm not going to drink it.
That's
that's when we started to filter the water. And the moment we got a filter in the house, the dogs started drinking the water again.
Yeah. Tap water, the body's nearly 80% water and water is sacred. So when I was a kid, I was drinking tap water, I was drinking Fanta, I was drinking Coca-Cola, I was drinking Dr. Pepper. That's what I was drinking. And my dad was traumatized, shouting all the time, beating me and sending me off to the government monopoly schools. And I was being around loads of other kids and bullying and all type of stuff. And it's like, I was confused.
Yeah. I was told by a French lady that the worst drinks out of all the soft drinks are the blue ones.
Yeah.
And I can't remember why she said that, but she would always say, you can drink this and it's not good for you and this is bad for you, but just don't go for the blue ones. So she was talking about something. She was an amazing French lady. She was fighting aspartame in stuff. And I got to say, it's sad. She died under mysterious circumstances in the south of France, but she took on the whole of the aspartame industry in France.
Yeah, they're
Great
criminals.
woman.
Yeah, like people like Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, all these people, and they're selling all these fizzy drinks now. Those people are criminals. They're selling us these complex sugars, dressing them up in shiny wrappers. So because the child's brain identifies with these certain type of colours, what appear in nature, red, yellow, and that. They're putting them on shiny wrappers with animals that are treating badly inside the wrappers, and then they're eating them. And then they're talking about, it's the science, COVID-19, you've got to trust the scientists. Why don't you send the scientists into Asda's, Tesco, Sainsbury's, Morrison's and start letting them check how those chocolate bars interact with the human body and then see what the scientists come up with then. If they want to keep talking about science all the time, because that's not good for us. It's the wrong chemistry for the human body. We should be giving children herbs. We should be giving children fruits. We should be giving children clean food all the time and then see how they behave. If we start allowing children to be raised in communities where they're growing food, where they have polytunnels and they're eating clean food and they get their feet on the earth, and then we'll see how they behave then. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not having children being given sweets and thrown over to giving them over to government in government monopoly schools while their parents are thinking, how do I earn a living? How do I earn a living? What, find them in front of a TV and an iPhone.
Yeah. Have you already played today?
Yeah, I played yesterday and then I played again today.
Right, and so what were the songs that you played? Or, you know, do you have some specific ones that you wanted to get
today,
across?
I did a little bit about fruit and vegetables and leave that junk on the shelf and stuff like that. I did it exempt EP. I did exempt, that's not about not wearing a mask, non-compliance, bust up your TVs, trample, no way, and stuff like that. Stuff that is kind of COVID related, because I just thought there was a liberty that they come out and just made people lose their mental health, and suicide went up, and gas, like now you've lost your business because of COVID-19, you've got to be more dependent on the state, and now gas, electric and petrol, everything's going up. So it's not an inflation, it's a starvation at the end of the day. So don't forget about the story. The story is COVID's happened, there's something going from person to person, you've got to lose your business and be dependent on the state. Now because something's going on in Ukraine, everything's going up. Those are the stories. But what is actually happening, you're having less money, you're being more dependent on the state, and things are going up. So now you have less money and people are being injected and people are dying from what they're being injected with, and mental health has gone up and suicide is going up, and we're getting pushed to the side, and global tech is coming forward, which means more technology. To me, that's serious. And as a music artist, if you're not talking about that, then I don't know what you're doing. You're wasting your time.
Wow. Brilliant. I'm going to say we had Right Said Fred sitting here a couple of hours ago now, wasn't it? And I said to them at the end, what's your message for other people in the music industry? And they said, grow some balls, because they wanted other people in the music industry to tell the truth about what was going on. And that's what you're doing. Yeah, brilliant. So I'm gonna say, well done. It's great. Thank you.
Bust up your TV, bust up your TV, TV. Bust up your TV, bust up your TV, bust up your TV, TV. They're saying that we gotta stay home, save lives. That's their narrative, I'm not sure. Pandemic. I think they wanna use fear to control us, to get us mad so they can bring martial law. I quit smoking, but 2 months into COVID, I was so stressed that I had to pick up a drone. It was crazy, it feels like the world's out. It's gone mad, mate. I can't toast to this, and I can't act like I don't notice this. They got my people under some hand sanitizing to me a psychosis. I know, but they don't wanna stand close to me.
And here follows Inspector Vegg's inspiring set.
Jump on the shelf. Yeah, jump on the shelf. Yeah, leave that jump on the shelf. That's not fruit, veg, that's not even poison. It's bad for you. Yo, gotta do my job. I'm always ready. Veggies had sex with a carnivore, a shake had it with a vegan or a veggie. Fruits in the day, salad in the night. Steaming squash ball with a wild rye. I eat electric fruit, so I don't eat very. In the summertime comes, I'll be climbing trees while foraging berries. Don't fuck with the big hybrid tomatoes, only fuck with the plum and cherry. I was all blocked up full of mucus, so I started following area and heavy. I was broke back then, but my cola was... Leave that junk on the shelf, yeah, leave that junk on the shelf. Leave that junk on the shelf, yeah, leave that junk on the shelf. Leave that junk on the shelf, yeah, leave that junk on the shelf. No fruit, veg, nuts, or semen, poison, it's back to your health, turn them again. You better leave that junk. What, nobody needs that junk. You better leave that junk. Take my cash when I went in the shop. I only use cash, not card. I won't wear the mask on trains and buses. The supermarket ain't super. I won't stand in the queue cause that's where the sugar and pus is. They wanna keep us dehydrated today. They're turning us all into druggies. Cause in the media, they're gonna sit like, you can't see you smile with a mask on. Some people are just too far gone. When it's all rise up like a hard on. Got a few tracks I need to put bars on. Few tracks I need to get laid. I don't need to be tracked and great. I got paid to put a fact in your face. There's a whole lot of truth we can all embrace. Trample on their evil intentions like. Trample on their evil intentions like. Trample on their evil intentions like. Every time I look around, I see a spirit lies and the truth doesn't get mentioned like. Thank you very much, people. That was called Trample. I'm not wearing a mask. You get there because that's not even a question. I don't want to use my arms to put a no contact lock man. I'd rather rest them. Government did some illegal lockdown. So I'm in AP, exams and rest them. They don't help, they don't scare them. It's in the keyword because they're still selling us poison. That's what tension is. They don't want to open the beer about C19. None of their say sense of it. Let's get us into a self-imposed house rap. But they're still tasting it. Gonna take the time to build the immune system, but I didn't even mention it. Like wearing a bypass, no way. Injection, no way. Pick up the nose, no way. The nigga walking past, don't be scared.
Bust up your TV, bust up your TV, TV. Bust up your TV, bust up your TV, bust up your TV, TV.
They say that we gotta stay home, save lives. That's their narrative, I'm not sure. Pandemic. I think they wanna use fear to control us to get us mad so they can bring martial law. I quit smoking, but 2 months into COVID, I was so stressed that I had to pick up a drone. It was crazy, it feels like the world's out. It's gone mad, mate. I can't toast to this, yeah, and I can't act like I don't notice this. They got my people under some hand sanitizing to me a psychosis. Yeah, I know, but they don't understand close to me.
Here is the interview with Paul Terry and Brian.
Okay, well, I'm now joined by Paul, and I'm feeling comfortable about this because he's got his name on his T-shirt. But their time is running out is the big banner. Paul, tell me about your T-shirt first.
Well, in January this year, I just wrote this tune, and I was a little bit inspired by the Beatles at the time. I'd just been watching this, the Let It Be sort of footage all coming out, and I was thinking, I really need to just write some more songs. And I tend to write sort of instrumental music, and although I have written songs in the past, and I thought, right, let's get the guitar, just work with some chords. And I felt I really wanted to speak out to all of the people that are in the same situation as me and use what skills I have. I'm not like a great speaker. I don't, I can't sort of like express myself so eloquently as some people, but music is my thing. So came out and we produced this piece, all sort of like home done, made a video on Brighton Beach, which is where I live. And we did it all in space of a couple of months. And
Wow.
and Mark Devlin helped to promote it. And we got some T-shirts done as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. Music is a language, isn't it? So,
absolutely. It's very powerful.
Powerful. And I think it's been one of the really great things that we've been seeing happen, that we're trying to get a message out about what's happening in the world, what's happening in this country, that things that aren't right. And you say, how do you get that message across?
Yeah.
A lot of people early on said great to use humour.
Yeah.
Because that breaks down barriers. But the other thing that affects people and works with all people is music, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. You can go to like 2-hour seminars, sort of like with people sort of like giving you all of this truth. But a song can be so powerful. It can it can make a message, very simple message, come through with so much more power. Yeah, I find.
Yeah, I was talking to some people early on this morning, and we were talking about violin music, and I was fascinated. There's an American violinist, concert violinist called Hilary Hahn.
Oh yeah.
And there's a little YouTube clip where she talks about going into really, really rough American schools. And she said, I can go into a hall and the kids are shouting and swearing and there's mayhem. And she said, if I just get my violin out and I start playing Bach, it goes quiet. Yeah. But the interesting thing is, she said, it's only when I play Bach. This is what she said.
Right.
And I just found this fascinating, that she just starts playing the music and all of a sudden the mood of the children changes.
Yeah, why do you think that might be?
Well, I think because you got two levels to it. You got the frequency of the music, and I think there's something spiritual there.
Yeah, I think it just
You're
kind
connecting
of
with something.
reaches into your soul.
Yeah.
With that words just perhaps can't do.
Yeah. So you were reassured when you sat down because there was a piano behind you.
There's a piano,
so
yeah.
What's the significance of the piano?
Me and the piano, we're good friends.
Okay.
So I play the piano. Yeah, play the piano and guitar as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you were playing earlier this morning, weren't you?
And you were there.
Right. So tell us about that music and what you were doing. Yeah.
So I've just started up a new ensemble with some friends, and we're called the Freedom Ensemble. And one of the criteria is that people that join need to be unjabbed. It's just one of those shed-in things that I've been finding that friends that are in orchestras just don't want to go to orchestras because they feel that I don't know. Here we are, lost words, but they feel the negative effects of shedding from people that have had the vaccination, in orchestra. So they're just looking for some safe place. So with me, you know, I'm classically trained and I write music down, and I just saw this as a great opportunity for me to write music for whoever wants to join the ensemble.
Yeah. And your music was I was fascinated this morning because when I walked down the field, I heard the music, and I'm going to say it sounded a bit classical.
Definitely it is, yeah.
And then I was a bit surprised because I didn't expect to hear that sort of music. And then I thought it was a recording, and then I saw that there were people playing. So I looked at the little stage and you guys playing, but then I was looking at the faces of the people watching, and they were totally captivated by the music. It was really interesting.
Oh, that's so good to hear.
And I can't quite remember who did you have on stage? You had a couple of violins or three violins?
Oh, actually, yeah. So it's a couple of violins, a couple of violas, electric bass, and myself on piano and synthesizer. And I sung for just one song, which is I released this track of just a cover of Golden Slumbers earlier this year, which is available on iTunes and Amazon, etc.
Please say.
So is this actually? That's we've done a lovely video on YouTube.
Yeah. So those people, you brought all of them together to do that?
Well, it was a combination because I put out an advert on Telegram saying orchestral players needed, string players, brass. Just needs a little bit of orchestral experience, but for a Sussex-based ensemble in a jab-free environment.
Right. That's quite an advert, isn't it?
I know, a bit risky.
Yeah.
Bit risky. And we just got people getting in touch, and we're looking for more as well.
Right. So how much practice had you done before you did that? Is it a gig if it's classical?
You can call it a gig.
Yeah, right.
It is a gig or a concert. It's the same thing, really, interchangeable.
Right.
And this was actually our first concert gig.
Right.
And we've been practicing really, really hard over the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And actually, one player only just joined a couple of days ago on bass. So he joined us for the Golden Slumbers. That's Dan, who's in the room here as well.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got an audience there that you're speaking to at the moment. What would you like to say to the audience about your music and what's happening in the world? Just a little short.
Yeah, so in the last couple of weeks, we've just been getting loads of invitations to play in festivals and gigs which are sort of aligned to our thoughts on what's going on at the moment. Yeah. And if you want to find out more, just go to www.paulgterry.com and I'll put some events there, and I'll also put some footage of what we saw today, which first concert. So it's nice to have some footage, and we're going to send some stuff to you as well, so that maybe you might, as you're saying, to play out some of the credits.
Yeah, absolutely. Lovely.
Yeah, oh, fantastic.
Well, great. Thank you for joining me. And
My pleasure.
Telling us about your music.
Lovely to meet you as well, Brian.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you very much.
And here follows the incredibly moving set from Paul Terry and the Freedom Ensemble.
Go on, go.
Thank you.
Here is the interview with Tim Briffa and Brian.
Okay, I'm joined by Tim. Tim and I haven't spoken before, so for the audience, I'm going to be learning as much about Tim now as you will be learning. Where have you come from?
London.
Okay.
West London.
How was it? What was the trip like?
Once I got I got a lift, it was fine, but trying to arrange the lift was quite.
Was tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and the trains and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been lots of different experiences actually, but I'm going to say we had the worst trip because it was 9 hours for us.
So hours.
9 hours
from
Plymouth.
From where?
From Plymouth to
God, really?
here because there was a few problems. So sob stories. We've done it.
Yeah.
What sort of music are you going to play?
Well, I've already just played actually.
Okay.
It's a solo. I normally play in a band called My Drug Hell, but I did a solo thing, which is sort of acousticy. I don't quite know how to describe it, but it's singer-songwriter stuff. Some of it's kind of political. Some of it, mostly, it's just I don't know. It's a mishmash.
Whatever you feel is right.
Yeah. Some of the songs are kind of funny. Some are theatrical-ish. Some are sort of folkish. It's really hard to sort of put it in a category because they're all kind of different. Some a couple of covers and rewrites as rewritten. Give Me Some Truth, John Lennon's track, which I wrote for the Vax thing. I rewrote about attacking Piers Morgan and all the prostitutes. So I did that. Yeah.
So have you been in music since you were young?
Yep.
So it's a big thing.
Yeah. I got on a train when I was 17 to London. First day my dole check came through. I just said bye to my parents. Said I'm off to London. Within an hour, got on a train. Said I'm off to make it music.
well, come on then. Tell us. Just give us a few key points. How did that develop?
Well, how did it develop? I got mugged 3 days after arriving. Lost all my money. So I was left with 30p. I was trying to score some stuff on the road, on the All Saints Road, which was very dangerous then. So I got mugged, and I thought, and then I sort of got a lift to where I was staying, hopped the tube with my guitar, went busking, got enough money to survive for a couple of days, then got a bar job, even though I was underage, to work in a bar, and gradually got back on my feet, and then squatted, then joined a punk band, and then eventually got kicked out of the punk band. We did an album, and then formed my own band because I got kicked out, and I thought, well, that way I won't get kicked out if I form my own band. They can't kick me out. And then we ended up doing a record, and eventually then the song got used in a beer advert, and sort of kind of came good, but then the band sort of screwed up because the drummer left like they do. And then the record label went bust, and then I reformed the band, and then it's just been like that all along. But with sort of good bits, and then trust.
But you've seen it all because you started out at zero, and
kind of, I mean, I haven't seen the dizzying heights exactly, but I've been sort of within throwing distance.
Yeah. Okay. So what? You've just played. What did you play? Was it a part of a?
It's just a bunch of songs. Like I say, some I've written in the last 2 years, sort of a lockdown songs.
Yeah.
Some are just like a couple of Jacques Brel songs. I'm quite a fan of him. I don't know if you know him, but he's very theatrical. And I rewrote one of them, or retranslated one of them. He sang in French. But yeah, there's sort of just a mix of like, I tend to sort of write a song. I don't sort of have a formula, if you know what I mean. Each song is just like starting from scratch, as far as I'm concerned. I might write a funny song or a really heavy song or whatever. And I don't have a sort of a style exactly, if you know what I mean. Like Ray Davies is probably my favorite songwriter.
It comes to you.
Yeah,
comes in your head.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of it. You know, if it's going well, they kind of write themselves. You just try not to get in the way and just try to. It's like being a secretary. You hear bits. I always think it's like a secretary taking notes down a dodgy phone. And there's a bit of a broken phone line. You hear a bit of it, and the guy, the boss, is saying, "Oh, talk about," and you kind of piece it all together, and you get these bits, and then you go, "I definitely need to put this in. I know what the ending's going to be, and I've got this bit of melody line," and you're sort of just left to assemble it yourself. Yeah. And at the end, you sort of do this, and sometimes it can be really fast. The song that we got used in a beer advert. It's called "Girl at the Bus Stop." I wrote it in 30 minutes. I met a girl at the bus stop, tried to chat her up. She turned me down. I wrote back, came back home. I thought, that's a good idea for a song. Girl at the bus stop, talking French to a girlfriend on the bench. I had my head in the book. I'd lost my place when I took a look. And then I sort of developed that. And I had the whole thing written and recorded. Written in about 30 minutes. I'd recorded all the parts in an hour. And then recorded it only to give her as a cassette. So I made a cassette just to give to this girl at the bus stop. And that's all I did it for. And then it ended up getting me a record deal, then get used in a beer advert, then 3 films. And the whole thing was just came in, just more or less heard bits and, So it's a really mysterious process. So which comes first, then, the lyrics or the music? The check, as they say. The old joke. It can be either. I don't know if the guy before was just talking about the Get Back film. I don't know if you saw it, the Let It Be footage of the Beatles that got redone. It came out this year. No. And it's really interesting watching them create, because there isn't a formula. Especially if you're working on inspiration, you can see Paul McCartney, he starts to Get Back with just an idea for a bass line. It's one note, and one chord, like the A to D. And you think that's not going to be anything. And he's obviously got some seed in his head. And it grows from there. And then he got some bits of lyrics from the newspapers that had come out, story of Enoch Powell. And then it became, then he got to Get Back, and it's a comedy song initially. It's taking the piss out of Enoch Powell. It's called Commonwealth Song. And it was, and then it evolved, and Get Back to Where You Once Belong. And then that, of course, then they thought, well, yeah, the comedy's not really working. And they worked it by, I think, intuition into this masterpiece. And then other songs, like The Long and Winding Road, you see them composing that. Yeah, and the title, he's playing this piano piece. Yeah. And it's all got most of the music down. And then the roadie comes up and says, that reminds me of, he just seen Wizard of Oz. And he says, it's like the Yellow Brick Road. Yeah. And the roadie says that to him. And he doesn't say anything. And then obviously Yellow Brick Road must have gone in his head. And then it became The Long and Winding Road. And you see that he's taking ideas from anywhere, musical ideas. And that's how it is, I think, if you're working on inspiration. So you just take it, you're just like a sponge. You just take, so it could be a melody line, it could be a title, it could be a mood. You can see someone with an expression. You could just, suddenly that gets you flowing. It's just so, there isn't a formula. No. Okay. It works. You're doing it, and you're producing the material. And it works. Yeah, that's a key thing. I had a little bit in my head there. I watched a little clip about the Beatles making one of the tracks. I hope I'm not going to mess this up, but they produced bits of the song. Yeah. But one bit of it was not in the right. It was just slightly out of key when they did it. And was it Strawberry Fields Forever?
Could have been, but they ended up. Some guy did a miracle.
That's Strawberry Fields Forever. They had two versions. They had a version that was an electric version and an acoustic version. They did 2 takes of it. They started with the acoustic version, acoustic, and then they did this really produced one. And then John Lennon, when he listened to them after having finished, he said, "You know what? I kind of like both of them. Why don't you just use the beginning of one to the other?" And George Martin goes, "Well, we can't. They're in different keys. They're in different tempos. So we can't just edit them together." And he goes, "Oh, you'll sort it out, George." And then left for the night. Yeah. And then George Martin and the engineer go, "What the hell? How the hell are we going to do this?" So they then thought, maybe if we speed up the first one, then we get the tempo match. And they did that. So they sped up one, slowed down the other, which then meant the pitch dropped from one and the pitch raised from the other. And magically the two meet. Yeah. And you can hear the edit on that, by the way. This is one of those things that once you hear it, you'll never unhear it. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, so spoiler alert, if you don't want to hear Strawberry Fields Forever the same way again, do that for a minute. It's at 1 minute in, you hear the edit. And it goes, "Let me take you down." And there's the bit, and it's clearly the horns come in. And you can tell it's a completely different take. Right. But until someone points it out, you just don't notice it. And it's magic. It's again like it's like the gods were working with them. It defies all logic, all maths, and somehow it worked. And it's just so great, you know.
Yeah, brilliant. So we've had a little discussion about how music works and doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it's here in this location in a field battle in Hastings. I'm going to say thank you very much.
Thank
Brilliant.
you. Thank you. Cheers.
Here is Tim Briffer's rather entertaining set.
That's not translated.
Oh, I can see them now, clutching their handkerchiefs and blowing me a kiss, discreetly asking how come he died so young? Or was he very old? Is the body still warm? Or is it already cold? Well, doors are open wide, they grope around inside. My desk, my drawers, my trunk, there's nothing left to hide. Some love letters are there, a few old photographs. They've laid my soul to bare, and all they do is laugh. Oh, I can see them now, clutching their handkerchiefs and blowing me a kiss. I can see them now, so formal and so stiff, like a sergeant at arms at a policeman's ball. Now everybody's pushing to be the first in line, their hearts upon their sleeves like a discount Valentine. The old women are there too old to give a damn. They've even brought the kids who don't know who I am. They're thinking of the price of my funeral bouquet, but the thinking isn't nice, for now they will have to pay. Oh, I see all of you, all of my phony friends, who can't wait till it's finished, who can't wait till it ends. Oh, I see all of you, you've been laughing all these years. Now all that you have left is crocodile tears. What you don't realize is you're entering your hell as you leave my cemetery. Though you think you're doing well with that one who's by your side, you're as proud as you can be. But she's gonna make you cry, but not the way you cried for me. Oh, I can see me now, so cold and so alone, as the flowers slowly die in my field of little bones. Oh, I can see me now, in my final resting spot, as I think about my life and contemplate my lot. Now all that I have now is not what I deserve. No wine, no girls, no pleasures. They really have a nerve when they say we must be careful and our money we must save. There's nothing left for us when we're dead in our graves. Sick to death of hearing things from grandiose, bellicose, sanctimonious hypocrites. All I want is the truth. Just give me some truth. I've had enough of reading stuff by lottie sipping farmer-funded draft photo socialists. All I want is the truth. Just give me some truth. No jumped up, controlled journalistic wannabes got a right to lecture anyone while in the pocket of Gates. Spreading lies and hate, you're all a bunch of fakes. Oh, had enough of watching scenes of brain dead, bat-wielding state-sanctioned thuggery. All I want is the truth. Just give me some truth. I'm up to here with lies and smears to justify stealing rights and medical tyranny. All I want is the truth. Just give me some truth. No jumped out, sold out, student of the elites gonna lecture me on anything when they don't even practice what they preach. You're all a bunch of freaks. Stop trying to gaslight me. Oh. No eating talk, man, child, shit that kills bills, gonna shoot me full of someone, child, poison for a pocket full of hope. Money for rope, Murfin. Oh, sick to death of watching scenes from Friend Day, Baton Rouge, State Sanctuary Thuggery. All I want is the truth, Piers Morgan. I'm talking to you, Kate Burley. Had enough of watching scenes of Friend Day, Baton Rouge, State Sanctuary Thuggery. All I want is the truth, Owen Jones. I'm talking to you, George Montreal. All I want is the truth. Just give me some truth. All I want is the truth. Just give me some truth. All I want is the truth. Just give me some truth. How much we're slaving. I love the lockdown. We're living la vida lockdown. I love the lockdown. We're living la vida lockdown. Day I wake up and thank the Lord for COVID, cause even though I know it can be horrid, baking banana bread and having food parties helps to make up for all our worries. I love the lockdown, we're living la vida lockdown. I love the lockdown, we're living la vida lockdown. Saturday night, we hang out with the neighbours, Jack and Jacasta, the fellow garden readers, drinking champagne in our nice big garden, put on another sausage on the barbie. I love the lockdown, we're living la vida lockdown. I love the lockdown, we're living la vida lockdown. Someone told me about someone that they know felt so lonely they jumped out from the window. But at the risk of sounding heartless, they should have just stuck it out. I mean the wife did. I love the lockdown, we're living la vida lockdown. I love the lockdown, we're living la vida lockdown. It's been a year since they put us in the lockdown. They laid me off and things are not quite so good now. The wife moved in with Jack from next door. Jack has to slash the wrists and can't take her no more. I hate the lockdown, we're being fucking locked down. I hate the lockdown, we're never fucking end now. Hey. This is another Jabral song which I translated my own translation because the famous one is not fully accurate. It's fairly accurate. Set in World War I or II in a whorehouse for soldiers. It's a concert that loses virginity. All naked, but for a time, like a loincloth around my waist, a bar of soap in one hand, ashamed and red-faced. Next! Next! I was not yet 21. There were 100 in our line. I followed a naked body, while another followed mine. Next! Next! I was still not yet a man, alongside many fellows, about to lose my innocence in an army camp or gallows. Next! Next! Me, well I would have liked at least a bit of tenderness, but just lay there for a little. Oh no. Next. Next. Not quite my Dunkirk, I was in my Waterloo. Well, at the moments when you wish you paid more attention during school. Next! Next! But to listen to the voice of that puffy little sergeant, I swear he could have put the entire army out of action. Next! Ooh, next! Now I swear upon the head of my first case of VD that there's another voice forever haunting me. Next! Next! It's the voice that's filled with bloodlust, with whiskey on its breath. It's the voice of every leader sending men out to their deaths. Next! Next! Though there's women are not sin quite reassuring beneath my feeble arms. I know what they're really thinking. Next. Sometimes I wake up screaming in the middle of the night, and all the fellas of the world should join hands and unite. Next. And when my madness passes, well, I try to tell myself it's more to me to be followed than to follow someone else. Next. If I should ever have to return to this wicked world, my friend, I'd sooner come back as a cripple, or none, or be hung, and have to hear that word again. Next! You're next! Little child, don't you cry. Forget about the shrieks in the woods tonight. Just spectres, spooks with nothing better to do. If you've been good, they'll not bother you. Witches on their broomsticks, tapping at the windows, spiders in your slippers, and in the bedclothes, rats in the bathroom, rats beneath the floorboards. Oh, sleep tight, little one. Hush, little child, rest your sleepy little head. Forget about the bugs at the bottom of your bed, and try to ignore their beady little eyes, and pray to God that they've been fed. Witches on their broomsticks, tapping at the windows, spiders in your slippers, and in the bedclothes, bats in the bathroom, rats beneath the floorboards. Oh, sleep tight, little one. Hush, little child, there's nothing to fear. If you ate your cabbage and washed behind your ears, and when you said your prayers, I hope you didn't ask for money. There's nothing the bogeyman don't hear. Witches on their broomsticks, tapping at the windows, spiders in your slippers, and in the bedclothes, rats in the bathroom, rats beneath the floorboards. Oh, sleep tight, little one. Hush, little child, don't you cry. Daddy's gonna sing you a lullaby, tucked in and warm, better to be safe than sorry. Now Daddy's just putting out the lights. Daddy's just putting out the lights. Thank you very much.
An interview with Campbell from Jam for Freedom and Brian.
Campbell, thank you for joining me.
You're very welcome. Lovely to meet you, Brian.
Okay, I know nothing about you, apart from the fact you're a musician and you're here jamming for freedom.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about yourself. How did you start playing music? How did you get here?
Yep. So I started bringing music to parks in summer 2020 when the lockdowns happened as a way to give musicians a bit of an income through donations. I'm also a musician, as you said, and really help their mental health and help connect with people back when most of us were still trying to work out what was going on, and wondering why, a flu was taking a few months of locking down people. Yeah. And that was called the Outside Jam, and we did jam every week almost every week in the summer.
And where was this? You were doing that?
This was mainly in London. So I was living in London. I was working a job 9 to 5 from my house, and then I was going out on the Saturdays or the Sundays and bringing this music to the parks, because obviously as a musician I couldn't go out and work. I used to play in Leicester Square and Trafalgar Square, busking, making a good amount of money with a few hours of busking, and I used that money actually to fund a functions band to play in weddings, which was all set up and it was ready to be launched on March 2020. And conveniently, March 2020 was when the UK government decided to lock everyone down. So I started the Outside Jam as a response to that. And then what happened is the government then told people they needed to, stay inside again and force businesses to close on December 20th. And when I heard that news the night before, December 19th, I was getting my hair cut. It was a bit of a pick-me-up. It was crazy times. That winter was depressing, man. Got my hair cut, and for some reason, the barbershop had Sky News on, and, everyone's bloody addicted to the TVs, but Boris Johnson goes, all businesses non-essential must close tomorrow, December 20th. And I went, man, you need to stay open. You need to do what the Great Reopening are doing. You all open your businesses stronger together. And then I went home and did a video to my followers on social media and to all my musician friends and said, guys, we need to jam for freedom. We need to get outside and we need to play music and we need to spread that hope and we need to spread that truth and we need to end this. We need to do it collectively together. And so I went out that next day, December 20th, the day of the national lockdowns, Tier 4 in London and Hampstead Heath. And I couldn't find barely any musicians that wanted to come out, text everyone on my contact list.
This has been a theme with people I've talked to today. Is they're saying they're all stunned at how little passion there was from other musicians to actually speak out about what was happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of court jesters out there, and a lot of musicians are, I don't know what to say. I mean, they're trying to just make it by, and the music industry is difficult because there's not many gigs. And there's not many paid opportunities, and there's a feeling of not being appreciated because as an artist, your work, its value depends on the other person and their reaction to it, and so the value of an artist really depends on the economy around it to an extent, and I guess that comes with a lot of mental health issues within musicians. A lot of them getting involved in drugs and depression, and and feeling that they're the best in the whole world, and this kind of entitlement to a degree. So there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, but then you've got a lot of the big musicians that are tied to record labels, who are tied to nefarious, Rockefellers, Hollywood, the Democratic Party of America.
People.
They are controlled. They're fully controlled. They can't step out because they will lose everything, and who knows what debts these people have got and what they've been up to behind closed doors. But I'm not part of that at all. I'm a young musician that went to the streets and brought the music out there.
What are you playing?
I'm a drummer and a singer.
Right.
I wasn't a singer until I started Jam for Freedom because I couldn't find any singers, so I had to teach myself that. But yeah, since then we've performed. We've got 15 international chapters and growing.
Right. So we is what, you playing with some other people, or this is a network of people?
It's an organisation across the world, Jam for Freedom, as you can see on the
brilliant.
The art I designed. My initial vision was, all the musicians around the world, from wherever they are, whatever they play, get out and spread the message.
Yeah.
But since then, my vision was always that it would be international, and that has been realised. We have chapters in America, in Europe, in South America, in Australia. There was a jam about 12 hours ago in Perth, Western Australia, a jam for freedom. So as a movement, it's helped inspire musicians to go out, to spread the truth, and to connect and network with other musicians. And there's countless stories of bands and musicians that have met through Jam for Freedom and gone on to create their own band. Or join up with other bands, which then creates this.
So this is a pretty amazing story, isn't it? Because you're one guy and you just decided to actually stand up and do something, and it's now spreading.
I had the energy. I had the momentum because I'd just come back from traveling, learning martial arts, and living in Japan, living in Australia. I was quite politically in the know about the world and and about the corruption. And I had that energy to just get out there and do something, and I didn't care because I'd already lost friends for being politically incorrect. So I went, you know what? I'll lose some more. Let's go and do it.
I think a lot of us have been there. Yeah. The so-called friends who disappear when it gets tough.
It is tough.
Yeah.
It is tough. There's a lot to break down. But at the end of the day, you've got to do what's right, and you've got to follow the truth, and that is the most rewarding life.
Yeah.
And I've had an incredible journey the last couple of years with Jam for Freedom.
Yeah.
It's been unbelievable. It's a
how have people reacted to your playing? If you're out in the parks and you're playing where other people aren't out and about, how do people react to you?
Well, there's been different stages. When we initially started, it was like it was love or it was hate.
Right.
It was that was the large percentage, and there was I'd say 20% that were kind of a bit like, what's going on? And then as it's gone on, it's kind of been the same. But what Jam for Freedom, Jam for Freedom has played some massive shows in like Hyde Park at the end of the Freedom rallies, where we've had 23 riot police vans, we've had police follow us. I've been arrested, charged for organising an event which I did not organise. Had to go to court for that. But the support we've got is unbelievable. We've had people like Eric Clapton, Van Morrison support us. Eric Clapton featured us in his music video for This Has Got to Stop, which helped us grow exponentially. Wow. And he lent us his tour bus. We're actually in Plymouth, and we had his tour bus, and I wish you guys had come.
When was that?
Oh, this was... We've been to Devon a few times, but we were in Plymouth on one tour. I've actually got a few flyers here.
Yeah. Go on, flash that in front of the camera.
Yeah. So I'll show you I've got a couple. This is our first flyer from. This is like vintage almost now. From January, February, March, and then that's kind of on the back. Shows about. Some information. It's quite blurred, but essentially it's freedom is your right, end lockdowns, facts over fear, save our children, let us work, allow us treatment and appointments, open our gyms, protect our health, and so much more. And that was what, we were just handing these out, guys, check this out, child abuse is going up. Yeah. But that's our first flyer. When we went to, what happened then is we then fundraised to get a motorhome, like for rent. And so we rented a motorhome for a few weeks in the peak of lockdowns when you were told that you couldn't go out more than 8 miles or whatever rubbish they were telling people. So we got the motorhome, and I think this is the tour that we did. And I think Plymouth is on there, but we played by the lighthouse. I can't remember what name.
On the Hoe.
Yeah, we played on the Hoe.
Yeah.
And that was a bit difficult because there was obviously we don't ask for permission. We have permission from the people. That's the way we operate. But there were people that came to watch us that didn't know what we were about, and then I'd go and sit down and say, "Hi, we're Jam for Freedom. Here's a bit of information on why lockdowns don't work."
And did you get any hassle from the local authority?
We didn't on that occasion. No, we're totally peaceful, and so the times that we've had hassle, often they've been provoked by unnecessary, police aggression.
Yeah. So the police turned up today, I understand, and wanted to do a check on the site, but they were persuaded this was unnecessary, and they went away. So that was good.
That's correct. Yeah, that's how it should be. And at the end of the day, when we jam for freedom, we don't just jam for the general public, but we jam, for police and armed forces. They really should know about what's going on in the world, about the risks to their mental health, about what's going on around them, about the rights that are being infringed on themselves. So we're not anti-police, we're not anti anybody really. We're just pro-freedom. We're not anti-vax. We're vaccine-free.
And getting people to think. Getting people to think things through
Yes.
themselves, it's a big thing.
Yeah, and getting the next generation involved. Children come up and perform with us, so we try and get everyone involved and bring good vibes, as we say.
So have you already done something today, or you got something coming up?
We've got a Jam for Freedom space, so people are coming and jamming and hanging out all day. But tomorrow we'll be playing a finale with our mega band, which is a band comprised of 9 fantastic members that have come from all over England to perform, who have toured with us on different gigs and played with us in big shows like in Hyde Park, and so that'll be happening on the main stage tomorrow.
Great. So last message for the audience, that the other side of the camera there. What would you like to tell people about how to find you? Where do they go to look for on the internet? What would you like people to do to support you?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Well, you can find us at jamforfreedom.com. We're on all the social medias. We've got a Telegram page as well. And if you want to support us in any way possible, we do it completely for free. So, you can become a member, you can donate, you can buy T-shirts, buy hoodies. We've got music for sale on the website as well. And just share our stuff, because obviously we're shadow banned. But we are this is actually the final gig of our UK tour. And after that, we have a tour of the USA and Canada happening.
Wow.
So stay tuned. That's going to be the next step.
Are you going to be able to interact with the trucker community? Because that, to me, seems the logical place to...
Yes. Yeah. We're going to be on tour with a musician called Funky Fathers, who has played with the Freedom Truckers Convoy in America.
Right. Wow.
And we have connections with musicians that have been involved. So, it's going to be a great journey, and it's been an amazing journey. And I'm just super thankful for everyone that's helped us and put us up in their houses when we turned up in different cities and didn't know anyone, and just made a shout out, and they put us up, and all the musicians that have got involved, because it's
so this restores faith in people, doesn't it, in human nature and how people really are when they're left alone to get on with their lives. They're actually quite nice people.
Yeah, of course they are. Yeah. We have an abundance of food and land and health available for us. So there's no reason why we can't all get along. And hopefully we can bring that to people, that idea of leave the people alone to make their own decisions.
Yeah.
And respect each other's sovereignty, and the world will be.
And enjoy life. Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks for talking with me.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Here is the uplifting set from Campbell and Jam for Freedom.
Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people right now. Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people. stand still. Do you see the light from the darkness everywhere? Have you been infected? With apathy from something that's been injected? Are you in control? Hang on to your ego. There's a new day dawning. Get out. So cold in the morning. Get out. Feel the joy out of the morning. Now is the time for us to be free. Get out, you get out. Takes on me. Get out. So good in the morning. Get out. Feel the joy out of the morning. Now is the time for us to be free. Get up, you get out. Get out. Sussex. Gotta get up. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Some people might say I got to stay inside all alone. Some people might say they got to pray to God to go home. Some people might say I got to be injected. Something that like you gotta stand up for your right.
people in the struggle won't be long. Down. My people in the struggle for way too long. Down. To all my people in the struggle won't be long. Cause my spirit, where my spirit exists outside. Don't know it's a game. I'm not surprised if you feel this way. I feel inside. Seems so right, delusional. Look for solutions, but most of the time the problems they only existing in my mind. Hold on. The people being distracted, put it down. Down. To all my people in the struggle, won't be down. People in the struggle, way too long. Down. People in the struggle, won't be long. When I'm with you, I don't care what the banker says. Already realized I've been doing it my whole life. But you can't eat money, ain't everything to me. Yeah, what's going on out here ain't pretty. I don't want my car, just want my rampage with a house by the river. People need to strike, I never wait too long. Down. To all my people in the struggle, won't be long. Down. The people in the struggle, never wait too long. Down. To all my people in the struggle, won't be long. I see so much pain. People struggle every night and day. But if you got to say, it's always easy just to push it away. Why you got to play? Not my problem if I'm thinking together. You and I should have to suffer forever. Why don't you give me a rocket and breathe? Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people. Say you want a revolution.
Many thanks for watching the highlights from this year's Freedom Music Festival. We hope you've really enjoyed reliving the amazing event. And if you came along and had the best time, we hope you will join us for future events in 2023. There are plenty to attend and get involved with. So if you aren't on our mailing list and you aren't receiving our emails, then please do visit our website, www.hopesussex.co.uk, and we will get you on there and you can find out exactly what we're up to in 2023.